So the IEA in its Path to Net Zero report talked about how we are currently at about 20% of global energy needs are met through electricity. To get to net zero by 2050, that would bump up to 50%. That's a really obviously a dramatic and large increase, but that still means that 50% of global energy is not electricity. And I can't remember. It's been a while since I've read that report. I'm presuming they're not thinking that a lot of like biomass for cooking is staying in the mix. So the other 50% is molecules. Can you talk a little bit about electrons versus molecules and the sort of, you know, I think there's a lot of people that think it because they hear electrify everything. Yes, you can electrify a lot of things, but in the end, you really can't electrify everything. Can you just talk about that a little bit before we go into some other specific areas?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I think electrify as much as we can, as long as that electricity is coming from low carbon renewable sources. But there certainly are areas where we can't electrify, where molecules are needed. Some of those, and that's one of the criteria that I use for the hydrogen use prioritization. So things like heavy duty industrial heat, there are just temperatures that we can't get to without a fuel or with electricity. There are certain processes that we can't do just with electricity. So there are just some of these chemical processes where we need molecules or fuels. And so it's less about the energy and more about some of the chemistry that happens in some of these processes. Heavy duty transportation, when we're looking at the range and the weight that we need to move, when we're talking about trucking or when we're talking about needs for aviation, particularly transatlantic flights, the energy density of batteries, which are electricity compared to our standard fuels that we're using now, jet fuel, are just not able to deliver the same services that we need and are expected to in some of those applications. And that's why we have to be looking to alternatives and essentially kind of green, low carbon, clean molecules to be able to deliver those same energy requirements where electricity just won't cut it.
Yeah, I think just a lot of the rhetoric I hear out there these days is like, these things aren't really necessary. You hear a lot of discussion around like false solutions and things like that. And I just think it's important to kind of level set that even the IA and its very ambitious pathway to net zero, you're probably not going to be above 50%. And even if they're wrong by a lot, there's still a whole lot of molecules in the mix, even 30 years from now in a decarbonized system.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just true for the IEA, but certainly every net zero, robust net zero scenario that I've looked at has that similar breakdown of electricity. Clean electricity plays a big part of it, but it's not everything we need. We need molecules. We also need efficiency and conservation.